Hi, my name is Bert.
Hi, my name is Milton.
And welcome to Wild Africa Experience. Milton, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, yeah, today probably let's talk about a zebra. Zebra.
Zebra, yeah, that's how overseas people would normally call it, eh?
Zebra, yeah.
Zebra. Some love calling it a donkey in pajamas.
Yeah, some of those bush jokes, eh?
Yeah, but it's all about adaptation, I suppose, because you start wondering where the stripes came from, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting animal to watch in general, and I would say going on a game drive on a walking safari without seeing a zebra, it's something else. It's something whereby when you go out on a game drive, if you see a zebra, it's a sign of the game. Yeah, proper game, eh?
It's quite amazing, yeah. And here in Zimbabwe, we've got quite a number of zebras. Eh? We've got the Burchell, or the plain zebra it's called now. So this is a particular type of zebra out of the four species that we get.
That's right, yeah. We still have as well the Hartmann zebra, the Gravy zebra. Also very fortunate to see the Cape Mountain zebra, especially in the Cape there, in the Karoo, plain Karoo, in South Africa. Very amazing species to see. And I was very amazed at one park I've worked. The type of terrain we had there, it was like we had a mountain, and on top of the mountain you could get different types of animals. But Cape Mountain zebra, you would see them on top, and then Burchell zebra at the bottom, and they would never go up and they would never come down. Yeah. So it's just good that the habitat they prefer is totally different.
That's quite interesting, eh? Yeah. You know, there's a point that you start wondering, because now we've got a whole lot of donkeys that were brought in with trading. Like, how did we not manage to tame our own zebra like we do donkeys?
That's right. Yeah. Apparently, so zebras in particular, they've got a very weak backbone when it comes to riding, and some of the other organs, the body organs on top, they're quite close to the backbone, so you can easily break it, and it's very delicate. So it can die very, you have some complications. And at the same time, you can tame or bring up a zebra, take it to private game reserve and tame it kind of, but after about 18 months to 2 years, it's going to be difficult for you to go very close. I had some experience where the zebras at one of the small private reserves I worked in Zimbabwe here, they were chasing kids. So they've got a nasty bite anyway. So it's not something which is very, very good to tame them. They're still wild. Yeah, they still have that wild instinct in them.
That's quite interesting, eh? And considering that they are bulk feeders as well, I suppose it plays a major role, because here we've got what we would call low grazing value grass compared to horses and donkeys that eat on the kikuyu and the nice hay. Here they need to eat more, I suppose, and spend more time digesting. So if you take them away from their daily routine of feeding, it could be a problem for them, because they start getting hungry and they start becoming a little aggressive. So, because I remember, I don't know if you watched that movie. Remember that movie with the little zebra that was racing? And
oh, yes.
And then the mane started sagging to the side. No one really saw that, but as guides would be like, oh my God, this zebra is being overused.
That's right. So basically, when it comes to the food, zebras, they are non-selective grazers. They feed quite a lot of grass a day. So when you say unselective, they can feed on anything, because they require quite a lot of grass in a day, and quite fibrous stuff. And in that regard, it requires a lot of water as well in a day. So you'd find a zebra, it's one of those animals that requires very clean water. So when they go out on a watering hole, there's many a times you see that they can dig a little bit so that the water can still filter fresh water they need. So it's something which is unique to the rest of the animals. Like elephants, they just drink when they get to water hole. Zebras, they need that water to facilitate their digestive system, since they are high in gut fermenters in that regard. They're non-ruminants. So that's water, it plays a very important role when it comes to digestive system.
Wow. Right, so yeah, on hindgut fermenters, we're talking about at the back of their stomach, for example, they've got what's known as a cecum that excretes anaerobic bacteria, which is the bacteria that doesn't need oxygen. And then they do a lot of what we call microbial fermentation. And that's a lot of work for a stomach.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's an anaerobic digestive system. You always see that the zebras, they've got a very inflated stomach. Any time of the day, you're going to see that the stomach of a zebra is very huge. And if you just surprise them in any way, they have a tendency of releasing that methane. So it's something where if you wanna see, like Albert mentioned that already, that you saw a zebra just with the mane floppy. That's one of the signs where if you wanna check if the zebra is healthy or what. If it's not getting the right amount of food, the mane will lie sideways, and if it's great food, the mane will always erect upright, and that is a very good sign for you, because under that mane there's a fat layer which will always make it to erect. Because some of the creatures, if you look at porcupine, they've got they do pile erection. It doesn't get erected by fat, but the chemical, the signs of pile erection, it kicks in, and then they erect their quills, which is totally different to the zebra in particular.
Like getting goosebumps.
That's right.
Yeah, so, but in terms of the social structure, I've always found zebras pretty interesting, in the sense that at a certain age, you start getting one stallion in charge of a whole herd of females, and then you get a bachelor herd that runs around on its own. And working in private game reserves here in Zimbabwe and outside as well, southern and East Africa, there's quite a few things that I've noticed, that the stallion is the same throughout. He's a strong male. He wins or he loses every now and then. And then he tends to give away one of the females if it's his little one. Something that I found pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because what happened, Albert, when it comes to the zebra social, that hierarchy, the young males, they hang around on their own, but when they have an intention of starting their own groups, natal groups, it leaves the natal group and then it goes and starts its own. So they will team up as bachelor groups, and when they come in very submassively. The ears, they'll be showing that respect, that what, I'm coming here, I don't have an intention of fighting. So the male eventually will become very, relaxed, and but their intention will be there to abduct a filly. So as it abducts a filly, one of the females, they will take a female, and then they will drive it off from the group. So the way, because females in a group, they're all related, and they stay together as the mother. In such a group, there's like a first wife, second wife, third wife. So they'll be all enjoying, the comfort of staying home with mother and the dad. But the way they get abducted, it makes them to fight. That is why, in most cases, you'll see a zebra missing a part of the tail, where people, they'll think that's a lion. It's not really a lion, but a female will retaliate, will fight back and bite that little tail, and that's how the male eventually start the breeding group, and they'll go again, and as time goes on, it becomes a bigger group, which will become a breeding group, and the system of a first wife, second wife, and a third wife. Yeah.
That's quite interesting, because the other day I was talking to some guides, and we were just discussing in general, and there were quite some few talks about it, as in, the stallion doesn't seem to mate with its little ones. The small females, and the females make sure that it doesn't happen by hiding the urine of that little female when she's in estrus. So when she urinates, they go and urinate on top of that urine, so that he will never find out. And some theorists were saying that abduction and the fight, usually it's more of a ritual, that okay, you're strong enough to take care of my daughter, because sometimes at the end you find the stallion running back, and then it pushes away that little foal, and then the new family starts, which is something Pretty interesting,
Pretty
I
interesting.
suppose, eh?
All right, we're going to stop now and go for a short break, and then we'll come back and proceed with our story. Yeah?
All right.
Okay, stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to Wild Africa Experience. So yeah, we were talking about the zebras and the new breed being formed, and you know, it's quite interesting, eh?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So zebra is one of those animals that has in non-ruminants that has long gestation period. Of course, we've got elephants. It's almost 2 years. But particularly on zebra, it's between 11 and 12 months. And the reason they have such a protracted long gestation period is the fowl, when they're born, they have to be in a state of what we call precocial, ready to jump and run for its safety, which is very, very important in animals like that, because it's an animal that stays in an open plain, in an open area. So if it spends time not be able to defend itself, there will be a problem of lions or hyenas coming in. So after a zebra is born, within an hour, it will be up, walking and following the mom. And when there is a predator on there, trying to attack, and then it will be able to run away from itself. But anyway, there's quite a lot they do when it comes to protecting. I think I'll talk more on that. We'll talk more on that.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. You talked about precocial, and we generally we're talking about animals that are born a bit more aware. You know, they've got about 90% of their brain capacity already, and eyes open, and they're, like Milton said, within an hour, this baby is almost as running as fast as the mother, which is quite interesting. But going back to the way the mother gives birth, pretty interesting, because I've actually witnessed it once when she gives birth and she eats the afterbirth, and she starts moving around the baby back and forth, and the baby is looking like this. You know, the stripes are quite interesting, because as much as they all look the same, they're different, just like our fingerprints. But then there's that on the shoulder here, you find that on the zebra. It's a little different from every zebra, which is more like what they're imprinting to the little one. So it's more like what we would call barcoding, eh?
Yes, that's right, barcoding.
So 45 minutes or so, at the same time, the baby will start knowing that this is the mother. All right? And once the baby starts moving around and trying to run around, remember, it's just been born, so it doesn't have the capabilities of actually digesting anything. So what does the mother do first? The mother will make a special poop, the special dung. All right.
That's very interesting.
That the baby will have to actually go and pick up and eat. All right. That's, what do we call that?
Coprophagy.
It's called coprophagy, eh? The baby, they're ingesting bacteria into the baby.
Which is very good.
Which is quite interesting. And then you find that once that happens, it happens actually for the first month or month and a half. And the baby that time is mainly drinking milk. Within 3 months, you will find that the stomach will start bloating up again, which means the bacteria is now a bit more active. Which is something...
It's amazing, yeah. So that process of imprinting, it's quite amazing in these zebras, because of... you know, if you put 1,000 zebras, like what Albert said, 1,000 zebras, after a day, a baby can still go and recognize the mother, since they live in a very big family groups, which is interesting. So coming back to the colors, black and white is a very, very special color. And a lot of predators, they have a tendency of getting a little bit afraid of the black and white, call these aposematic colorations. So when with a slightly brownish color they have, you know, it helps to blend in. We call it shadow stripe. But generally zebras, they don't like to bath there. They water in general, but they indulge into what you call dust bath a lot. But the stripes act as what do you call defense mechanism, because if you put 1,000 zebra, if there is an intention of a lion, if a lion comes in, want to try and attack a zebra, they all come together, forming what you call a collide scale. So by coming together, their stripes will eventually confuse the predator by not being able to pick up one out of the gang. But especially the youngsters, they will get protected. But you know what, lions, they're always very strategic when it comes to to hunting and other predators, they will reapproach and maybe win a little bit later. But so those stripes, they like kind of give a confusion, which it won't be able to pick up one out of the gang. So it's very good for them to have stripes as black and white.
Yeah, I've always thought about that as what we would call a synchronized. A synchronized defense system. They move around together. You always find this is so funny because there's one that always jumps away, you know, and the lions know that it's going to happen. That one that jumps away, that's where the problem begins.
That's right.
Something quite interesting. But you never see those lions going for the big stallions, eh?
Yeah, because a big stallion can deliver a nasty kick as well, apart from biting. And in their own family group, you always see that when they come together, they all look. Zebras, if they get disturbed, I've realized that they run and then they look and they turn and check. And so what's happening there? The ears, they'll be cocked and trying to detect the sound where the predator is coming from. And by doing so, it makes them to be very successful when it comes to defending themselves. And a male, you see him, stallion always takes a rear guard. He stops right behind and check because it's very big, you know, nice stamina. It's very amazing when it comes to defending his family group.
Yeah, I always laugh with my guests, you know, and checking the difference between the male and the female. You know, like you have to count the stripes. Male is black on white stripes and female on white on black stripes, which is actually quite a joke.
Yeah, but generally when it comes to the differentiating them, it can be very difficult if you're not too sure of what you're doing as a guide. So you would look at right behind. The female will have a tendency of having a broad black stripe on the back leg that goes beneath the back legs. But the males now you see more white under the tail, which is totally different because that black links up with the vulva coming down and it becomes very you could see from a distance. And as well with the stomach hanging a little bit down, it shows. And why? Because zebras, most of them, they're always pregnant, the female. You know, they spend long time pregnant. And yeah, you can tell the difference. And as well with the rear guard, the male always behind, you can tell really, okay, that's a young male, that's a female, and you can come up getting to be able to distinguish the two.
Pretty interesting, pretty interesting.
So I've realized that, I don't know, Albert, if you heard that we always talk about Serengeti migration, the migration of wildebeests and zebras as well. But there is this migration of zebras that happens in Botswana.
Oh yeah, I've witnessed it once.
Yeah, from the delta heading towards Mahari. It's the actually they cover a longer distance as compared to the Mara migration, and that is the second largest migration.
That was quite an interesting experience for me because the first zebra came out and I thought, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then, well, almost 600 zebras later, I was thinking to myself, am I going to leave this place? It actually redefined zebra crossing for me.
So animals like zebras, when they migrate, they have to go for the nice grazing areas. They have to go for water as well. So that is why animals, when they're grazing, they can go for long distances, probably 500 kilometers to and fro, covering that distance, just because they would like to get some great food.
Yeah, there's something that it is quite interesting. You always see the zebras moving around with wildebeests. Are they like best buddies, or how does that work? Were they born next to each other?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Albert. There's this thing where there's a combination of the two. When it comes to feeding, they don't compete. There is a tendency where zebras, they love to feed on top part of the grass and the wildebeest at the bottom part. So when they are together like that, they do what we call resource partitioning. And when it comes to defense mechanism as well, zebras, they're very vigilant animals. They see very well, and the ears are always omnidirectional, moving and trying to detect the sound. So if they pick up something, they give an alarm call, which wildebeest, they also check what's happening. But now, wildebeest, they also do the same. If they pick up something, they'll start by running. So zebras, they become very vigilant, alert that, oh, there's something around here. So being together, zebras and wildebeest, as sharing the same ecological niche, in an area, having what you call resource partitioning, it plays a very important role when it comes to survival of the two in an area.
Wow, wow, that is very, very interesting stuff. And this one colleague of mine was telling me a sad story coming from a game drive, like how a baby wildebeest, because we've had a similar incident with my guests in Ngorongoro, whereby the mother gave birth, but there was not enough food, so she just left the baby, and the baby was chasing after the Land Rover, trying to find milk. But then the baby was making so much noise to the extent that the stallion, the zebra stallion, went for the wildebeest baby and just turned around and gave it a nice, good clap, a kick. And then it died right on the spot. We never understood it at that time, but then we realized, oh, the baby makes a distress call that can actually attract predators. So what the zebra was just trying to say to the baby wildebeest was like, keep quiet, but well, it did it in a zebra manner.
It was disciplined.
Yeah, so unfortunately,
well,
the baby didn't make it.
Quite a lot of things can happen in the bush, you know.
Interesting stuff.
It's very interesting. Nature is very intricate. Anyway, stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
All right. We've been having a very interesting one right now, because generally, you know, I can never stop looking at zebras, to be honest with you. You know, as a guide, I am literally a teddy bear when it comes to some of these species. You know, you just start wondering how did this happen. But like on your walking experiences, I'm sure you've had a few encounters and alert in a way that you would know, oh, something is happening out there, you know, just from
you know,
zebra.
Professional guides always be very careful with these plains game when you're walking. So that is very important thing when you're walking with the ash bag, trying to check our wind direction. I've realized that if you come across a zebra, they kind of alert others as well. And or even before you see them, if you hear them calling, just look very carefully with the binoculars. Although they don't see very well, but they can hear and they can smell. Very good sense of acute hearing, and as well some good sense of smelling. So what happened when it comes to the eyesight, the eyes, they are on the side here, which means they've got a field wide vision of what's happening around them and almost quite close to its tail. Right? So forward seeing, they don't have that great binocular vision.
They must have a blind spot.
Yeah, they do. So wide field vision, but with a good combination of smelling and hearing, it makes them to see what's happening around. So on a walk, if you come across a zebra, if you see them, if they see you, maintain your distance, keep on walking towards them and stop a bit. And as they get comfortable with your approach, you can literally go very close, up to maybe 10 meters. And sometimes even you can even sit, and while they're watching, sometimes you start to see them out. They will start feeding. That will be the sign of saying, well, we've accepted you. You can proceed. You can do whatever you want.
Oh wow,
yeah.
That's
so
quite interesting. Yeah, but you on a game drive, normally you tend to get a bit close to them if they're habituated to vehicles. But I've noticed something pretty interesting. The one day I was on a game drive and I didn't see the lion. The zebras saw the lions and they started making their alarm call. But they were going towards the lion, and I was thinking, what's happening here? But the lion eventually got up, and it looked like they were chasing the lion, you know, and it brought me to that point where I thought to myself, oh, this is the interspecies interaction, because the kudus were alert, the impalas got alerted, the springboks as well got up, you know, and then the lion had to run into the bushes because its cover had been blown. You know?
So that was a very good coexisting of these species. Collectively, it becomes a community. When it comes to ecology, it becomes a community where all these species you're talking about, they're sharing the same ecological niche. They've got grass here, they have a grazing area, they've got some trees around here, and they've got some water in the same area. And by doing so, moving around, all of them, they're not competing when it comes to feeding. And when it comes to predators around, one can see more eyes will be better, actually. So it's a very great thing.
Those memories last a lifetime. You know, you talk to even some people 20 years later, there's like, remember that time? And that reminds me of another really, really good one. I was on a drive, and it was a closed road, right? And then suddenly, I heard a sound. This zebra is running. I've never seen a zebra running dead straight towards me in the vehicle. 3 lions behind this zebra, and she had a little one. But there was a male that we've been checking almost for 30 minutes, just lying on the side there, you know? And the mother knew. I thought the eyesight was bad, or maybe they were just that close. But the mother actually knew that they used my vehicle as a buffer. So the baby went the one way, the mother went the other way. The male lion jumped on the mother, but unfortunately the lion was overpowered, eh?
Oh.
Yeah, it was a big male, and I thought it was going to happen, but none of my guests saw that because all of them went under the seats. Yeah, I'm sure if they can see me right now, they know.
Yeah.
It was probably the best experience of their
That's
life.
Right. So zebras, you can get them all over around Zimbabwe, and with very big groups. And I tell you what, the interaction, the way they will be behaving, feeding nicely, always seeing them with the tail being used, swept around nicely to chase the flies off. It helps a lot. And yeah, so in major national parks, private game reserve in Zimbabwe, they're quite common seeing these zebras around. And yeah.
Yeah, and if you've been lucky, I've seen the great migrations in the Serengeti. I've seen the one. You've seen the one in Lua.
In Lua Park, yeah. I was
the
there recently on my private guiding trip. You know,
you're
Lua
looking
Park
at what over two. I've seen over 200,000 zebras and almost 1 million wildebeest in one area, whereby you can't stop staring. It's so mesmerizing. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a very amazing animal when it comes to, you know, people. They do enjoy them a lot. Anyway, that was very interesting. We can always talk more about it. Until next time, see you, wildlife experience.